they're mistreating us, they're beating us, says another alleged detainee, while what appears to be an alarm can be heard in the background. Quote, it's the emergency alarm, please help us, the person says through tears. These kinds of things have been happening throughout the 2 months this has been open. Most of them do not have any criminal case against them or criminal charges. Just putting that out there so we could all, stick with the facts here.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup on the ground. I am in Flint, Michigan, East Palestine, Ohio, Tumwa, Iowa. Please support the leading independent news outlet on the ground covering what the corporate media covers up.
Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Trump's ICE Gestapo prison, Alligator Alcatraz, is set to be emptied out of the remaining prisoners in just a few days. So it seems that the untrained, violent, in my view, immoral guards decided to get their last licks in and beat the living shit out of the remaining prisoners to the point of bloodying them. This report from Univision, quote, many people bleeding, migrants report alleged riot at Alcatraz in the Cayman Islands. Several alleged detainees at Alligator Alcatraz migrant prison and their families contacted Noticias 23 to report that riots were taking place at this migrant prison in Florida's Everglades. Alleged detainees at the Alligator Alcatraz migrant prison and their families contacted Noticias 23 reporting an alleged riot at the facility located in Florida's Everglades. 3 of the detainees told Noticias 23 over the phone that at least 4 detainees were injured and that guards used tear gas to control the situation. Alarms could be heard during the call. According to the detainees' families, at least 4 of the inmates were involved in the alleged riot. We also received a call from the prison from 3 of the migrants who claimed to be at the center. Quote, people started screaming because a relative had died, and they started shouting for freedom. At that moment, a prison team came in and started beating everyone. Right now, it's unrest, and well, we have the helicopters overhead. Helicopters overhead. Everyone here has been beaten up. Many people have bled. Brother, tear gas. We are immigrants. We're not criminals. We are not murderers, said one of the alleged detainees. Another of the detainees said, quote, there are helicopters up above and a lot of people are bleeding. Regarding what the people in charge of security at Alcatraz were doing, one of the alleged detainees said, quote, they're beating us. They are mistreating us. According to the alleged detained migrants, a police helicopter flew over the prison. During the conversation with Noticias 23, the sound of fire alarms could be heard inside the facility. Quote, they're mistreating us. They're beating us, says another alleged detainee, while what appears to be an alarm can be heard in the background. Quote, it's the emergency alarm. Please help us, the person says through tears. Noticias 23 sent a request to the Florida state spokesperson, blah, blah, blah. They're going to respond with lies. One note, I don't know why they reported alleged detainees. They're not alleged. They are there, and they're not detainees. They're prisoners. They also have not received due process. And most of them do not have any criminal case against them or criminal charges. Just putting that out there so we could all, stick with the facts here. I'm not surprised. These kinds of things have been happening throughout the 2 months this has been open. Having helicopters flying above, fire alarms going off. I mean, it seems like if you ever watched the show Prison Break, which I binged probably 15 years ago at this point, great show. It seems like an episode of Prison Break or Shawshank Redemption, but they're rioting because they're being tortured. We have reported over and over, both on the ground. We were on the ground covering this monstrosity of a torture camp, thanks to you, Status Coup viewers who support us as paid members. We have led the charge reporting on this. So thank you. And if you're not yet a paying member, support us so we can continue on the ground reporting on this and so much more. Right now, we're on the ground covering Trump's crackdown and takeover in D.C. But we have broken, in other instances, examples where basically the guards left an unconscious prisoner who could have been having a heart attack, left him unconscious for a half hour to the point that fellow prisoners had to check his pulse. Fellow prisoners had to move him to try and save his life. If you didn't see that story we covered, let me remind you, here's the audio that we obtained a few weeks ago. This was a prisoner who had fainted and a separate prisoner describing that a prisoner had fainted and the guards basically don't know what to do and left him there. Essentially, thankfully it wasn't, but potentially had left him there to basically die.
So much abuse. So much abuse. Too much abuse. Yesterday in the dining hall, there was so much abuse. They were handcuffed. They stepped on his head. About 6 guards jumped on him. They hit us. They kicked us. So much abuse. Too much abuse. So much abuse that we're enduring here in Alligator. Too much abuse. So much abuse here, I can't take it anymore. Where are the human resources? It's unbearable here. Now in another area, they fell to the floor. I think they fainted. I don't know. They don't even know how to act because they don't know how to revive someone. They don't know if the person died or not. We're very nervous because we don't know where we are.
The person they were referring to had fainted after begging for medical assistance for days and being denied medical assistance. He was then brought to the hospital only for a few hours. While he was in the hospital, he was chained, handcuffed to the hospital post because, he's going to escape or attack the guards while nearly unconscious after fainting in the torture camp. And then he was brought back to the torture camp after only a few hours at the hospital, shouldn't have been brought back. And then a few days later, quietly, without telling his family, was transferred to the El Paso, Texas ICE facility. Who knows what happened to him since? This is what's going on in essentially Trump's Gestapo facilities. So it's a victory that a judge has ordered this shut down, that it's going to be emptied, but the damage has been done, not just to the prisoners, but to also the taxpayers of Florida. We'll get to that soon, because this was a giant financial scam to make donors, Republican donors, construction companies, contractors, a whole lot of money, which then they're going to kick back to Ron DeSantis, the governor, the attorney general of Florida, and other big Republicans. I mean, it's just vile what has gone on here. And the fact that we're treating these undocumented immigrants, which again is a misdemeanor offense, coming here undocumented. But we let the Sackler family, who poisoned hundreds of thousands of Americans with OxyContin, they get off with a settlement. We don't go after Wall Street bankers who tank the global economy, foreclose on and evict millions of Americans, some of whom died. They get to keep their bonuses, no criminal charges. Fossil fuel executives who poison our water, air, animals, they get off with a fine. The list goes on and on and on. Big agriculture, big tech, the military defense contractors routinely commit crimes. I mean, our president, a felon, they get off. But undocumented immigrants, you have to fly the helicopter chopters over them. You have to beat them to a bloody pulp. I hope this is what you voted for, MAGA, because it ain't going to get your Medicaid back because your president cut your Medicaid. It's not going to get the food nutrition programs back because his party and him cut it. It's not going to give you bigger tax cuts because the big tax cuts are going to their donors and wealthy corporations and themselves. And this isn't to say the Democrats are, pom-poms for Democrats. In my view, Democrats enable this fascism and are not fighting hard enough for it. Chuck Schumer should have never agreed to the continuing resolution to keep Trump's government open, to basically normalize Doge and Elon Musk, which was literally Trump handing the keys to the government over to the world's richest oligarch to, based on reports this week, steal our Social Security data, among other things. But let's also not do a false equivalency here. I am not Team Dem, but they haven't done this type of fascism. There is a difference, and we should be clear about that. If you don't know, while all this is going on, a judge ruled that Alligator Alcatraz has to be shut down. So that is supposed to be happening within days, thankfully, because this is the worst of hurricane season coming up. And you do not want a hurricane hitting an outdoor makeshift torture camp that does not have any plumbing, running water, and can barely withstand a tropical storm. The Immigration Detention Center in Florida's Everglades, that officials have dubbed Alligator Alcatraz, soon will hold no detainees. In an email sent to a South Florida rabbi inquiring about serving as a chaplain at the facility, the executive director of Florida's Division of Emergency Management, Kevin Guthrie, replied, quote, "We are probably going to be down to 0 individuals within a few days." Asked Wednesday about the declining population at the detention center, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said, "I do think they've increased the pace of the removals from there In a ruling last week, U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams ordered Florida and the Trump administration to stop bringing new detainees to the facility and to wind down operations there within 60 days. And then, headline, Florida may lose $218 million on empty Alligator Alcatraz as judge orders shutdown. When they say Florida, they mean Florida taxpayers, including MAGA. A lot of MAGA voters there. Florida could be on the hook for $218 million the state spent to convert a remote training airport in the Everglades into an immigration detention center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. The center may soon be completely empty as a judge upheld their decision late Wednesday, ordering operations to wind down indefinitely. Shutting down the facility for the time being would cost the state $15 million to $20 million immediately, and it would cost another $15 to $20 million to reinstall structures if Florida is allowed to reopen it, according to court filings by the state. The Florida Division of Emergency Management will lose most of the value of the $218 million it has invested in making the airport suitable for a detention center. It is not, a state official said in court papers. Built in just a few days, the facility consists of chain link cages surrounding large white tents filled with rows of bunk beds. An Associated Press analysis of publicly available state spending data showed that Florida has signed at least $405 million in vendor contracts to build and operate the facility, which officials had initially estimated would cost $250 million a year to run. A previous AP review found that as of late July, the state had already allocated at least $245 million. So let me break that down in English. Look up the word boondoggle. This is it in big, bold font. This was a completely unnecessary Gestapo torture camp and a boondoggle, a racket to create an unnecessary prison so that contractors could make hundreds of millions of dollars, contractors that just so happen to donate to Ron DeSantis and other Florida Republican politicians. And they got these big fat contracts through no bid contracts, which are basically a for-profit pay-for-play scam that goes on all over the country. Democrat politicians do it too, where they hand out contracts with no competitive bidding process to their donors. It was part of what sparked the Flint water crisis, which is all detailed in my book, We the Poisoned, Exposing the Flint water crisis. So, I mean, this is not just a stain on America, Florida, but who do you think is going to be paying this? FEMA has not given a dime to the state of Florida, and I wouldn't hold your breath that they're gonna. Florida taxpayers who already pay some of the highest property taxes in America. Rent is through the roof in major cities in Florida, including Miami and Tampa. Interest rates are through the roof, groceries, utilities, all of it through the roof, not just in Florida, other parts of the country. And now the contractors are going to get paid, even if this is shut down. They got their contracts. They're getting paid in full. Who's going to pay it? It's going to be the working bees, the worker bees, including MAGA voters. Hope this is making America great, because it's going to thin the fuck out of your wallet. Status Coup, I am proud to say, led the charge covering Alligator Alcatraz. We were there on the ground several times. This was expensive for us to send a reporter there. We also sent a cameraman there separately, obviously paying the cameraman, paying our former reporter, John, our cameraman down there. It's expensive to do this on the ground reporting. And we stayed on it after through several investigative pieces on our YouTube channel and our Substack, which you should definitely sign up for our Substack, which you could do for free to get our investigative stories in written form. Please support us if you can as a paying member. We're really trying to grow, but we need to grow our paid membership, which you could support us for as low as $5 a month. That's 16 cents a day. Do you see many other mainstream outlets doing this kind of reporting? Do you see other independent outlets doing this on the ground reporting? I do not.